go.
Welcome to a winning cup, everyone. I have Stephen with me, and I'm going to let Mr. Stephen take it away and share his story with you guys.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here on the Winning Cup. So my name's Stephen Bailey. I am the co-founder of Catered.com. It's a travel members club connecting travelers directly to local travel suppliers. And I am also the host of the Catered Travel podcast, where I show with a daily show, sharing travel inspiration, tips and trends and ideas to help people travel and to help people travel different in the future.
Now, I have a question for you that isn't typically on my question list, but how has you being in the travel industry been impacted by this squirrely, hurly 2020? Jeez.
Yeah, by the craziness of the world that has been our world in the last 12 months. Well,
Yes. Yes.
Travel has really taken a hit. We all know that travel has taken a hit. People haven't been able to travel. And I think the first thing to say is this last 12 months has really helped people appreciate that travel is a privilege. It's not something that, I think it's something we took for granted before. And now we have a feeling that actually, travel is a privilege and something we really need to respect and be really happy when we can do it. And from an industry perspective, working in travel, I actually think it's been a good thing because before COVID, tourism was growing at an unsustainably fast pace. It was all about quantity, like numbers, selling more. And what did that mean? Actually, the quality was going down. So I actually think it's a chance to stop, reset, think, what do we actually want? How can we make it better in the future? So then this year, next year, the year after, we can have a better travel industry and have better trips for people.
Yeah, okay. So you're the big proponent of, okay, stop the chaos, reset the world literally, and then go and then think about what you really want to do when it comes to traveling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm quite happy to say, are we happy to accept that if we travel a little bit less, we can have better quality and a better trip? And, I think in the past, maybe some people would think, well, I have to go on vacation because that's what I'm supposed to do. But actually, we should think more thoughtfully about it. Okay, if I'm going to go on a vacation, what do I want to do? What do I want to learn? What inspires me? Like, what could be possible for me? And I think from the travel industry perspective, instead of just selling the cheapest tickets and the cheapest things, we can really think about making the best things and the best experiences for people.
Now, how do you feel about travel insurance? I know that most airlines are requiring it now just in case we all get gravely ill with what's going on. And how do you feel about travel insurance? Is travel insurance a thing that we all should be concerned about, including myself?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think for me, insurance companies are always gonna find a way to make money and do everyday people out of money. I like how Ned Flanders says on The Simpsons when he says, "No, I don't have insurance," because he sees it as a form of gambling. And I think travel insurance has changed because now they've added all these clauses and said, oh, we're not going to pay for this. And, if there's a new restriction, then that's not going to be covered because of COVID. So I would say for people traveling, it's important to really check what is included in your travel insurance and just to know that when you buy any policy. So, look, if there's a new COVID outbreak where I'm going, and something happens, I know in advance, will I be covered or not? And if you feel a lot safer and you want to have it, then do get it, but do the research to make sure it's something that's going to cover you for what you want to be covered for.
Yes, do the research, people, and use, even though you people like online, I'm a old school person. I can pick up the phone to a travel agent and have them help me out. I still have access to a travel agent. My goodness, how times have changed. Although I did do, the last time I traveled on a flight, I did book through United's website and then did booking.com. So I did not do the travel agent. But if you get scared, you can always pick up the phone and do a travel agent.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the last 12 months, with all the changes and uncertainties, it's really showed the value of having an actual person helping you arrange your
Oh,
travel.
yes. Oh, yes, it has. Oh, yes. And so yeesh, when I travel again, which will not be in, it will be in 2022. It won't be in 2021, only because I am completely booked because I'm moving. So my travel has been pushed back to 2022. And even when I do it in 2022, I'm going to still use a travel agent. I have someone help me who knows me, who knows a bit about a travel agent, because I am so scared. I traveled pre-COVID, but I am so scared to be clicking buttons post-COVID. It's not even funny.
No, it is really quite difficult, and the cheapest tickets are usually the least flexible. So when something happens, where do you even turn to get any money back? Where do you get help? Where do you get support? And if you've got someone looking after you, if you've got someone arranging your trip, you know that if something happens, you've got someone available
Yes,
24/7. Look,
yes,
I'm in, and what we do with Catered is connect people to the specialists that are in the destination. So you will contact, say, if you want to go to, for example, Costa Rica, you'll be having that trip arranged by someone in Costa Rica. And then that person in Costa Rica is always going to know the most about what's happening. Has something changed? Are there going to be new restrictions, etc., etc. When you're in Costa Rica, who's best to help you? Well, the person who's in the country with you. So we're really supporting that as well. That you know,
and
service and people go a
they
long way.
may they may know the local hospitals too, because
Exactly,
in,
yes.
well, in these foreign countries, trust me, the local hospitals are not that great. And my bucket list trip is not in 2022 per se, but my bucket list trip is to go to Bali. And with Catered, I think I'm going to, when that trip happens, when I have time to go to Bali and Thailand and all that, as a disabled woman, I am definitely going to use you guys, because having a connection on ground helps tremendously. They know what's going on ground, and um, they know every which way. And so having a connection on ground in Bali or in Costa Rica is a terrific situation, because they know what hospitals can see people, what hospitals can't.
Yeah, and also they know more about you before you arrive. That's what we're really trying to do. That if you arrange something in Bali with that person in Bali, that person gets to know you before you travel, and when you touch down, who's meeting you? Well, that same person who already knows about you, what you need, what requirements you have, what you want to do, what you want to experience, what's on your bucket list, all those things. You know, they already know what any concerns you might have. So we find that it's comforting when you touch down, because hey, this is not just some random person meeting me at the airport. It's the
No,
same person I've been chatting with for, you know, quite a few weeks, maybe a few months to arrange my trip.
no. And so do you help people coming in to the US as well, or just foreign countries?
Yeah, so we operate in 80 countries, and we are always connecting people with the travel professional in the country they are traveling to. So we have some people in America, and they are specialists for people who are traveling to the United States. And obviously, if you're in the United States and you want to go to Norway, we connect you to somebody who's the specialist and is in Norway. If you want to go to Bali, then it's the person in Bali. If you want to go to Thailand, it's the person in Thailand.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love what you guys are doing, and I'm so sorry that we can't travel as much as we used to, but um, right now, seize those memories, those of you lucky ducks who are able to jump on airplanes, and right now, seize those memories, because you never know, you could get stuck in these countries, and I mean that literally. And so with Cated, it's nice to have a comforting hand to help you.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we're here to do, to have that support and service that is necessary, especially when things are unpredictable.
So, Stephen, I have a question for you. What do you want to do when all this pandemic stuff is over?
Very difficult question, because before the pandemic, I was always traveling. I've been traveling for 13 years, not really stopping, not really staying in one place. And my whole lifestyle has changed completely because of that. And if I had to pick one trip I would still want to do when it's over, it will be to go to Patagonia, which is the southern part of Argentina and Chile. And it's been on the top of my bucket list for years and years. And I went to Argentina in March, and then everything happened. I got stuck in Argentina. I had to fly home. I missed all that bit of the trip that I was supposed to do in Patagonia. So I think when I am able to go there, I must pick up where I lost and where I left off
Yes,
last time.
yes, we're going,
Unfinished business.
go finish business. Yeah, exactly. Go finish business, because now I flew home from a business trip, and I will never forget. I sat in Chicago O'Hare Airport, which now I've become to hate because of my traumatizing experience in there. But I hate O'Hare, trust me. I hate O'Hare, but I will never forget when I realized what was going on. I was traveling back from Orlando, Florida, and I didn't really realize when I was in Orlando, Florida, what was going on. I think because myself and my aide took off as early as we did, that by the time I got to Chicago here, we realized what was going on. And of course, dumb me starts coughing to due to my undiagnosed asthma at the time. And I will never forget that plane flight from Chicago to Aspen, because people were looking at me as if I had what's going on. And I have never felt so embarrassed in my life, you guys, because I'm like, oh boy, oh boy. I realized as we hit the ground in Chicago, oh yeah, I realized, yeah, okay, this is why people are looking at me, and this is why what's going on. I will never ever travel through Chicago again, because it was traumatizing.
Well, I've only traveled through there once, and it's definitely not my favorite airport.
No, 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 no. Especially the week before pandemic, no travel. So, Stephen, what has been your favorite place to travel?
Oh, very difficult question again, and I will say it is South Africa.
South Africa. Why?
South Africa, because, well, they say that uh, South Africa is many countries in one. It is they have their national anthem has 4 different languages. There are 11 official languages, so there's an incredibly diverse and multicultural set of people, um, which is really nice to experience. The nature is incredible because there is ocean, there's mountain, there is safari. The people are incredibly welcoming and friendly, and there's just this positive feeling that goes along with a country that is very diverse. And I think that's always inspired me, because every day being there, I would meet someone from a completely different walk of life to my own. I would meet people with different languages, different backgrounds, different skills, different stories. And, that was really inspiring. I felt like I learned so much being there. So I've been back a few times, and it's still number one for me, the South Africa.
South Africa. Well, I just, and I knew this going in, I just found out yesterday through an interview that I was doing that New Zealand doesn't have COVID. And I knew that from the beginning of COVID. But I'm like, a country that doesn't have COVID, there's a concept.
Yeah, New Zealand did quite well, but unfortunately you can't enter the way they don't have
No,
COVID is.
no, I've been also told that you can't leave either.
Yeah.
So that's
Um,
duck. But
yeah, so
you can't go
tricky,
to New
tricky
Zealand.
times. Yeah, so some countries obviously done okay, better than others, and definitely some of the islands have managed to stay open. So in the Caribbean, also Indian Ocean islands, because there's a bit more space, people can be further apart, and I think the
And it's
destinations
nice
that,
and warm, and it doesn't snow, and it's
yes,
cold.
yes, it
And
doesn't. So and people are outside. I think places where people are outside, there seems to be less of the disease as well. So
well, yes, and I'm as we do this interview, I'm watching it snow. So, yeah, but out of here in a week, so I'm not complaining about the snow. But they say when you're dealing with COVID, it's best to be outside because of the germ factor. When you're dealing with people inside, not so good. So if you had to walk in a person's shoes, who would that be?
uh, and can it be somebody who is also not alive now?
It can be someone dead or alive.
Okay, I think I would like to walk in the shoes for a day of the traveler and TV presenter Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain, I thought you were going to say Rick Steves. For some reason, you were going to say Rick Steves. And for those of you who don't know, Anthony Bourdain did, what's it called? Anthony Bourdain.
Parts Unknown.
What?
It was called Parts Unknown. It was called
Parts Unknown. Thank you, Stephen. Parts Unknown. And he passed away of suicide. And so Anthony Bourdain did a fabulous job doing Parts Unknown. And for those of you who do not know who I'm talking about when I say Rick Steves is another PBS icon who does travel shows. And so you want to walk in the shoes of Anthony Bourdain. Why? Why do you do that?
I loved what he did. I loved how he traveled and his insatiable curiosity, and how he was always meeting people, how he was always connecting and learning and exploring. So I loved everything that he did on his show. And I also loved that it was connected with food. I mean, what better than traveling around and tasting the food?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
But then, you know, through watching the shows, you know, you kind of almost get a sense of what might happen to him, because you see he has like personal issues. You see he's struggling with a lot of things. And I think, you know, I work in a similar space in a way. I work in travel, so and I would just love to be in his shoes and see how it was to be like creating these shows, being this person who was inspiring so many people, but then also having to fight his own demons, so to speak.
I agree with you. I'm deadly surprised that his depression did not come out on the shows. I'm surprised that as a million people as he had around him, I'm deadly surprised they didn't tell us all one day, look, Anthony is going through this, Anthony is going through that. That is why I think we were all shocked to read that Anthony Bourdain committed suicide.
Yeah, I mean, it's very surprising when it happened. I mean, everyone was shocked and like, wow, it's happening. And then I just wonder, you know, how was it very stressful what he did? You know, he has this persona on the screen, which is one, and then was that almost the real story? So I would be curious to find out what happened, but also be curious to find, you know, what is a day life when you're creating these shows? Like, what's it like going out meeting these people? Is it slow? Is it fast paced? Are you tired all the time, or do you not have time to be tired? Do you have to do a shoot a few times? I would be fascinated by what he did.
That would be fascinating. And eating bugs, which we don't eat. And I'm surprised his stomach could handle all the unique cuisines he was trying, because some of the unique cuisines are unique to that country. And American stomachs can't necessarily handle that, but he must have had iron stomach still.
Yeah, absolutely. A stomach made of precious metals, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because my stomach couldn't handle the bugs and couldn't handle the unique cultural foods. My stomach can barely handle American foods, let alone these unique cultural foods, the bugs and snakes and everything else. Eating, mind you, not watching them crawl on the ground, eating them. So go look up Parts Unknown, you guys, and you'll see what Stephen and I are talking about. And also go look up Lick Steves. Lick Steves is a good planning, adventure, travel-esque person. So if you had to meet a person, dead or alive, who would that be?
I would like to meet, and this is also a presenter, he's on the BBC, a British guy, David Attenborough.
Okay, I am not so familiar with David's work, but now I have to go look him up because
Okay, so,
I have to now look him up because I want to see his work.
yeah, so David Attenborough is a conservationist who, for the last 65 years, for the BBC, has been creating wildlife documentaries such as Planet Earth, Blue Planet as well. He's made, for me, the most seminal works in like kind of wildlife documentary history, and he has such a calming voice. So for like my whole life, I've just loved to watch it on a Sunday, and you kind of watch the wildlife, and his kind of voice puts you to sleep on a Sunday. But he's also got such a powerful message that he's been promoting for 60 years about climate change, about the need for conservation. And why I would really love to meet him is because sometimes I get quite negative about conservation or climate change because everything's going in the wrong direction. And he's been doing this for 60 years, but he always manages to have a positive tone, an inspirational tone that makes you think, no, it's not too late. We can all do something about this. And that's really inspirational to me. So I would love to meet him. He's old now, he's in his mid-80s. So I'd love to meet him for a cup of tea and talk conservation and wildlife and pick his brain on all the wonderful stories he must have from what he's done.
And I was just going to say, on the flip side, having the world in lockdown due to a world pandemic has helped conservation tremendously. I mean, they said at the beginning of dolphins in the Venice canals. Thank you very much. Dolphins. And they said Los Angeles had the cleanest air it's had in years because of no one was on the road.
Yeah, there are positives to come out of this, everything that's happened. And like you say, if you take away half the people from the roads, then wow, we have cleaner air, we're going to be healthier, we're going to live longer, we're going to support wildlife, wildlife's going to return. So there are good things that are happening, and I really hope that we can maintain some of these things, I think, so we don't just go back to exactly how it was before and the rat race and over pollution, and we actually think, wow, something good happened about this, so let's try and keep it.
No, I hope so. I hope so too. I'm like, let's keep the good in COVID instead of the bad in COVID. And so, where can people find you? And do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, so people can find me on the Kated Travel Podcast. Kated is Kated. So if they go to kated.com, that's the company that I founded. If you go to kated.com/podcast, you'll find the Kated Travel Podcast, also on Spotify and Apple. And you can write to me directly about anything, really. So it's Stephen, STEPHEN @kated.com. So I'd love to hear from anybody, really. Any of your questions, any of your queries, anything about travel, write to me. And then I would like to ask you a question about some of your travel experiences as a disabled woman, and how it was for you. And I'd also like to learn a bit more about how the travel industry can really do better for disabled people.
I'm laughing because how many minutes Do we have, I need to do a episode on this. I need to do a solo episode or maybe with my girlfriend. I did a little bit about TSA and traveling and but I need to go deep dive into it. And maybe I will go deep dive into it on your podcast. We'll see. I don't know, but TSA and I do not get along. We haven't for years, and that's all I'll say about that. But on the flip side, some airlines do really well with the disabled. Delta does really well with the disabled. United, not so much. Now, granted, my home airport, my home airport is actually changing, so I have to see what it's like dealing with a bigger airport than I'm used to, because traveling in and out of Aspen, Colorado is a trick and a half due to Mother Nature and mountains. And unfortunately, pilots that travel in and out of here, Aspen, Colorado, need to be certified. It's the similar certification you get traveling out of Washington Reagan International Airport because of the low airspace and because in all cases it's mountains. So I can't wait to see what Phoenix, Arizona does for my little independence on as far as travel, my independence in general, but I can't wait to see how a bigger airport that I'm used to functions with the disabled, because the biggest airport I have access to is Denver International Airport, and that's not so good. I mean, it's okay, but my local airport barely knows how to deal with me, and I can't do it anymore. So it will be interesting to see how a big airport to start off with, to begin with, deals with the disabled. But Delta will always be my favorite airline, will always have a special place in my heart. Delta over the years has done great with the disabled. United, not so much, only because I have access to them flying in and out of Aspen, Colorado. But we'll see. We'll see. Delta will always be my fave. And then they do pretty well with the aisle chairs. They do pretty well with the aisle chairs. I have not yet worked with a power chair. We'll see on that one too, how they do that one. But and I've been talking to industry experts during the pandemic. I've been gearing myself up to get back on the plane. And it was supposed to be in 2021, not, it was going to be in 2022, or it might be in 2021. I haven't decided yet, but it's definitely going to be in 2022, you guys. And so I have to wait and see what they're going to make me do as far as the TSA post-COVID, because it's always an interesting challenge dealing with the TSA. And me, I'm in a wheelchair. I can walk with a walker, but I primarily use a wheelchair for long distances. And they go, ma'am, do you want a private screen? And I'm not like, no, thank you. I would rather stay with my stuff. And people have watched me do this over the years. And people have said to me, when you get mad, you get mad at the TSA. I'm like, I don't care. I get mad at the TSA because the TSA, but one of the worst airports, and this is not Chicago here, this is becoming one of my second home airports, and it literally is one of the worst airports to deal with accessibility is Orlando International Airport. I don't like it every time it comes through it, and I have to go through it because of part of me being in the content creation space. I have to go through it, so I'm like, oh boy, here we go, my dreaded airport, and I'm like, ugh. Hopefully, starting out without a small airport to begin with would be a good thing. Hopefully, Phoenix, Arizona, and Scottsdale are good airports because I am temporarily going on the vacation slash moving to them. But hopefully, they're good airports to deal with the TSA. But the TSA and I have a love-hate
Not friends.
relationship. The TSA and I have a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, and have you know, because you also travel with business and content creation, what's been your favorite trip that you've taken?
Well, I was lucky enough to grow up in the islands of the Bahamas. And I, even though that's a third world country, I love it. I love it. Number one, it's a beach. So I'm like, take me to the beach anytime.
Okay, so you're a beach girl.
I'm a beach girl. I don't know why I'm getting stuck in Arizona. I am getting stuck in Arizona because of amazing housing opportunities. Not my choice, not my first choice, but I'll grow to love it. But I'm a beach person. I'm a warm weather person. And so I'm a beach woman. And so I think growing up and having access to the Bahamas every chance I got. I mean, I was in between Aspen, Colorado, Florida, and the Bahamas, ended up spending the majority of the time in the Bahamas. That was incredible. I've also traveled on cruises. I've done a lot, and it's amazing to see how these international countries treat people with disabilities. It's one thing at the airport, it's another thing once you get into the country that I was just telling someone yesterday, I would rather stay as a visitor to the Bahamas than actually move down there because of the Americans with Disabilities Act or the Bahamians with Disabilities Act, which doesn't exist, thank you very much, and still doesn't exist. And so it's one thing at the airport, how they treat you. It's another thing inside the country, how they treat you. And they look at Americans like, oh boy, she has money. And she also has a brand new wheelchair at the time. And so they gave me these looks on the tarmacs of, especially in Bahamas. They gave me these looks on the tarmac like, okay, what are we going to do with you? I'm like, trust me, I'm a Bahamian. You guys just don't know it. And so it's so funny because they look at these brand new wheelchairs like, oh, here we go. She has money. She's coming into our country. And when I say our country, my family, my mom grew up in the Bahamas, and my family's still down there, so I consider myself a true Bahamian. But our biggest tourist income is tourist taxes, because the Bahamas is a tax haven too. And so our biggest income is the tourists. So, and they're struggling just as much as we are with COVID. But I think when you go into these countries as, especially as a white woman, you just have to be careful where you step. But I'm venturing out to, after COVID, I want to travel the world and see the world again. And as I said, my bucket list is Bali. My bucket list is go to Bali and figure it out. And I don't know if there is a person, I forget Kai's last name, but if you look up the website, I know his first name. His first name is Coy, and all he does is disability travel. And I spoke to him many, many years ago now. I need to speak to him again about traveling with a disability, because that is something, when I have the time and money to do it, that is something I really want to do.
Yeah, and I would love to see a point where it's. I think that within the industry there needs to be more training. There needs to be more
Oh,
awareness. I mean,
Yeah,
and I
like-
think, well, yes, yeah, yeah. I mean, I know. Yes, you're very
know,
right.
and
I
I
know.
know, and
Yeah.
I would love to, anyone who's listening to this in the airline industry, I would love to get paid for, my dream is to get paid for content creation / training on how to deal with the disabled, because I am so fortunate. I have buddies traveling with me all the time. And so, but I want to teach the airline industry and the cruise ship industry and any modality that you give me industry, how to work with the disabled, because I feel like there's a statistics, and I was part of the statistics, unfortunately, that over 1,000 wheelchairs have been dropped in by bellies of planes down the stairs when they lift wheelchairs down the flight of stairs to the belly of the plane. I secretly started putting a luggage strap around the wheelchair so that the wheelchair wouldn't open up as they lifted it up. And I'm like, okay, I've been part of those statistics. I've had my manual chair dropped, and then they didn't even tell me until I got to the terminal, and they said, well, by the way, your wheelchair got a little damage. And I'm like, what? My wheelchair got what? Because the wheelchair opened up and they didn't know how to fold it back and into each other. And so I look like a dumb when I do it. I land up strapping my walker and my wheelchair with a luggage strap, mind you. And that's how I'll continue to do it. I'll strap the wheelchair, and I'll take a manual wheelchair, not a power wheelchair. I actually have access to a manual wheelchair and a power wheelchair. Lucky that's me. But I will not take the power wheelchair out of my sights, because I don't want to have it drops, even though they say they're getting better now. I would rather have the manual chair with me and just do the lock strap around the walker and around the manual chair, just because I don't want it opening up, and I don't want it I don't want the person to get stuck having to deal with the power wheelchair. So even though I have access to a power wheelchair now, that power wheelchair won't be going to an airport anytime soon. And I just have to learn how to deal with the power wheelchair and my own power, because that power wheelchair is too expensive to get dropped by
Yeah.
the luggage handlers.
Mhm.
And you all these wheels luggage. Now I love, you will watch them if you ever sat on a plane and watch them how they handle luggage. Yeah, they handle it like a bunch of gorillas, to put it nicely. And so I don't want to deal with that, but I'm hoping eventually that someone will reach out to me to train the airline industry.
Well, I was going to say, if you, I don't know if you know of an organization called Open Doors.
Okay.
Open Doors NFP .org. So I know that in America they do that kind of thing. So yeah, Open Doors NFP.org. And it's based in travel and tourism, and I mean, yeah, I don't know too much about them, but I know they do training. They work with some airlines. They're trying to make travel and tourism more accessible for disabled people.
And open doors. I actually talked to a inventor at one point who I followed on Instagram, and he's inventing a seat. He's inventing a removable seat for airlines, for the power chair users to get on airlines in their power chairs and just have the seats removed. And if you guys want to go back and listen to that episode is amazing, because
What a great innovation.
yeah, and he's got a bunch of funding behind it, and he's got a bunch of supporters behind it. I had never seen anything like that, and so now I have to look up Open Doors. Thank you, Stephen, for turning me on to that one, because now I want to see what they want to do as far as the travel industry and the disabled space.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some people out there doing good things, but you know, it's small. It's
Yes.
small. You know,
Yes. It's small.
it's got to multiply hundred times.
The airline industry has to recover. And yes, Stephen is going to help the airline industry recover because of what he does. I'm going to help the airline industry recover by infusing cash into it, and just after the soap and the mixing is over, or I may double up, wear a mask, and go to the airport and travel. I mean, you
Well,
guys
and hopefully the bucket list trip.
travel. I know a lot of people have. They just said double up, and I'm fully vaccinated as of today, as we record this. I'm fully vaccinated, so why not? And so we'll see. We'll see what happens in June, you guys, whether I get to go on the airplane or not. But it's definitely going to be June of 2022 that I get to go on an airplane, and I'm super excited. And I thank you, Stephen, for sharing your knowledge, and give us the name of your podcast again, just in case anyone didn't catch that.
It is the Kated Travel Podcast,
Kated.
and that's Kated, Kated Travel Podcast.
Kated Travel, as in suitcase with a K, as in suitcase.
Kated, so Kated.
Kated. Okay, Kated, as in kite with a ed.
With a D.
There we go. Kite, as in Kite with a D. So Hate It travel podcast. And I
Hated
love
Travel podcast, yeah.
that.
And there are daily episodes, and each one is usually only around 10 minutes. So it's very short form, designed that you can just have one with a cup of tea, just give you a short amount of
I love
travel
it.
inspiration,
No, I
a
love it.
destination, and
The
idea. So
the travel information, and I love it. Maybe, yeah, maybe you guys were inspired by Stephen's interview, and I hope you guys enjoyed another fabulous episode. Thanks to you guys. Bye, you guys.
thank you. Bye bye.